Camera, are you ready? Thank you. 6 p.m. Grand Rapids Town Board meeting for August 13, 2019, 6 p.m. down in Grand Rapids Municipal Building. First item on agenda is going to be a public hearing. Kevin, is it Frishy?
Yes.
Application to rezone from agricultural to R2 residential. Lot number 1, a 1-acre parcel from newly created CSM located in the 2800 block of Golf Course Road. Parcel number is going to be 0700370. Current zoning does not allow parcels under 5 acres to remain agricultural. And anybody in the audience that has some questions or wish to speak against the item at this parcel in the audience this evening? Anybody wishing to speak against?
What was that for?
This is for the agricultural residential lot 1 on Golf Course Road. Okay? Anybody in the audience wish to speak against? Hearing none. Anybody wishing to speak in favor of the parcel 0700370 being 1 acre? Name for the record, please. I would expect you would. And Mrs.? And you, sir? For the record. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor? Hearing none, call the public hearing closed and we'll move on to our regular agenda. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, if you'd care to join.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2, approve agenda for meeting.
Make a motion.
No motion needed. Just if there was any questions. Item 3, approve minutes from July 9th, 2019 Town Board meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion Dan,
Second by Patty.
second by Patty. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Item 4 is a public comment period. People wishing to address the board limited to 2 minutes each, with the public comment period limited to 30 minutes. Anybody in the audience wish to speak on any items or anything else this evening? Go ahead, for the record, your name?
Dave Dolman.
Go ahead, Dave.
We would like to see if we can get the committee to extend the parameters of chickens to ducks on our property. That's pretty much all we have 4 ducks, so that's what we'd like to.
Okay, I think that's an item that came up from our planning commission, which I don't know the results yet, but thank you for your comment. Anybody else wish to comment this evening? Hearing none, then we'll move on to the item 5, the monthly reports from the departments. Fire Department Chief Robert Pyatt.
Evening, board and citizens. We are currently staffed with 45 EMS members, 2 non-structural firefighters, and 6 EMS members, but a total of 24 trained to do EMS. We're always looking for potential members. Contact myself if you're interested. Since the last report to the board, the department has responded to 45 calls for service compared to 35 this same time last year. This last year in 2018, we had 5 fire and 30 EMS calls, so that's a 30% decrease in EMS calls, and a 76% increase in fire calls. This month consisted of 24 EMS calls and then 21 fire calls. The breakdown on those was 14 in Grand Rapids, 2 in Saratoga, 2 in Grant, and 3 mutual aid calls. The mutual aid calls, 2 with Wisconsin Rapids, 1 with Rudolph, And then the breakdown basically from the storm, that's the high amount of volume was, we had 5 power line calls, we had 3 motor vehicle accidents. The storm was an all-day call, too many addresses to count. 3 structure-related calls with lightning strikes and or smoke in the house, 3 carbon monoxide calls, and 3 brush grass type calls. So this last month for training, the EMS group started their CPR AED American Heart Refresher, which is incorporated with our regular EMR refresher. And on the fire side, we trained in Project Lifesaver and did some pump training. And also some members participated in the beer and house burn that was a couple weeks ago over by Anchor Bay. So we held one monthly department meeting, 1 department officer meeting, 3 fire department training meetings, and 1 EMS training. So our smoke detector address sign is still a go, and there have been no injuries this last month. Any questions or comments?
Any questions for the chief? Hearing none, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
That takes care of fire department safety. Police department, Mel Peterson.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Okay, for the month of July, the Grand Rapids Police Department handled 476 calls for service. That compared to 434 calls for service in July of 2018, and that's about a 9.6% increase in calls. And as always, the town board member should have a breakdown of those calls. The department issued 60 traffic citations, 22 municipal ordinance citations, and 58 written warnings for the month of July. On July 17th, Officer Kubishik, Officer Conover, and I attended the Wisconsin Case Management System, referred to as ACES training in Appleton. The training was provided by the Wisconsin Department of Justice Division of Criminal Investigation, and upon completion of that training, our department now has access to ACES and is available for use in data sharing with other Wisconsin law enforcement agencies. Grand Rapids Police Auxiliary had another busy month. They assisted with the Wisconsin Rapids fireworks display on July 4th and the State Water Ski Show Championships hosted by the Aqua Skiers at Southwood County Park on July 18th through the 21st. Their duties included traffic control, crowd control, ID checks for these events. Once again, thank them for their service when you see them out in the community at these different events, because without their help, it'd be a lot more work for us and for the department and for other town departments. Vehicles in the department are doing well outside of normal routine maintenance. And once again, if you ever have any questions, feel free to stop by and or just stop in the chat. Any questions?
No, and the increase in calls that you due to the storm? Or just-
A lot of them had to do with the storm. That was probably the biggest increase right there. So
Hearing none, thank you very much.
thank you.
Amy Cook, treasurer, you're next.
Good evening.
Good evening.
For the month of July, current month receipts were 1,087,615, and current month disbursements were 244,308. Cash on hand at the end of the month was 1,054,855, with 105,939 in checking and 673,704 in the repo account and 320,802 in the money market. I also have the report for the compost passes.
Yes, please, thank you.
In 2018, we sold 454, and in 2019, we're at, so far, 517, which is already an increase of 13%.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Hearing none, thank you very much. Moving on to the regular agenda items again. Consideration and possible action on resolution 2019-14. The Kevin Frischie applicant application to rezone from agricultural to R2 Lot 1, a 1-acre parcel of a newly created CSM located in the 2800 block of Golf Course Road. Parcel number is going to be 0700370.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2019-14.
Second.
Bill and Andrew. Questions? This parcel comes right out onto Golf Course Road, is that correct? Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, any other questions? We're gonna. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Moving on to the vote. All right, that part's done. Number 7 is consider possible action on sending Clerk Dotter to attending the WMCA conference in Madison, August 20th through the 23rd. Total cost of the training is $665.76.
I'll make a motion to approve the conference that we set.
Motion by Dan, seconded by Patty. Discussions or questions?
You've gone to this before,
Yes.
correct? Yeah. So this would be a continuation of?
The one in July is the continuation credits. This
Oh.
is just the annual. So as long as I can get away next week, I may not go, we'll see.
Yeah.
But I can get out of it if I need to.
Okay.
so.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? No opposed. 8 is discussion on who will be attending the Wisconsin Towns Association Convention, October 13th to the 15th in Dells. Has anybody made up their mind yet? Bill for sure?
My schedule hasn't been out yet, so I will have to review that.
I'm not able to, I have a conflict at work.
Okay.
I'm on vacation that week.
All right, then I am unsure too, so.
And I will not be attending.
Okay, that helps us with planning.
If you are gonna go, just by September 5th.
Okay, September 5th, okay, thank you. That was my next question.
I have it at the bottom too of the registration, one on the back. so.
Thank you.
Item 10 is consideration and possible action on applying for a supplemental transportation grant. The governor's budget bill set a different pot of money other than our normal funds, of which there is $29,291,167 available for townships. So I think would behoove us to at least take our chance at getting a piece of that pie. These are 90% and slash 10% paid by the township,
90-10.
90-10. So
When do they have to?
they have not identified the dates as when they are to be taken, but I guess what I'd like to do is get approval to do this. There are a couple different places we can look to come up with a pretty good sized project.
The project eligibility are roads, bridges, transit capital and faculty grants, bicycle and pedestrian accommodations, railroads, and harbors.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to allow the chairman to proceed on this.
Motion by Bill, second by Dan. Any other discussion?
Will we meet as a town board as far as, talk about what type of projects?
Yep, once I sit down, I want to meet with the county highway commissioner to see if they're willing to help us with anything under the engineering or whatever, because we need to couple up with a couple of good things, and I think we'll hold a meeting, and it probably will be a maintenance meeting, but it'll be in the evening when all you'd be available to come at, and, yeah.
So we'll be able to all
Oh,
discuss it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It'd be a public works.
Public Works meeting, but
Open to everybody.
open meeting, and we'll figure out what we can take a shot at. Once we put some numbers together and try to get a couple different projects that we know we gotta do at some point in time.
And then this would be for 2000, it'll be completed in 2019, right?
420.
Project completion will be
So we
required.
could,
Yep.
yeah, this.
Because right then.
Because it's in the governor's budget, which is a 2-year window. So, and I guess you're right on the link to it. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? None. Item 10 is the consider a possible action on Alexander Fields Airport Commission request to annex for parcel number 07912 and 00913 to be annexed into the city of Wisconsin Rapids. Airport Commission determined that they needed sewer and water service, and the city said, great, would love to have you, but the only way you get it is if you annex. So they did, the commission did hire MSA carrier or engineers to draw the annexation up. I immediately had our attorney, Mr. Flynn, follow up on several parts of it to see if it was Flanagan. Sounded like it should have been Flynn.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to approve this for discussion purposes so that we can discuss it.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Bill, Dan and Bill to second. Discussion. First, I was going to give you a little background.
Okay.
The first item that, when this came up, there was some question whether the Airport Commission owned it or the town of Grand Rapids was the owner of it. So I had Nicholas Flanagan do a title search for us. The results are in the packet that you have there, which indicates it is owned by the Village of Port Edwards, Village of Burin, City of Wisconsin Rapids, and the town of Grand Rapids, as their interests may appear, and Nick's interpretation of that wording means that it's the Airport Commission's responsibility.
Where's that property?
So to have, so question on what you just said was, in 1973, when the airport hangar, the airport terminal building was built, it got sewer and water. The building permit was authorized by the town of Grand Rapids. Any hangars that went out there, any septic tanks that went out there, all the permits and the taxes received from that, buildings on leased land, was received by the town of Grand Rapids.
Correct.
If this belongs, why wasn't it sent to the Airport Commission? And I've been at several of these meetings, including the one at the city. And one of the things is not once did I hear that the airport terminal building was going to be part of this annexation. The only thing we needed was annexation because of the size of the hangar and the amount of water we needed for fires and things like that. Which, when I was there at the meeting, this was the motion. To have our attorney, meaning the airport's attorney, to have that attorney look into this and come back with annexation procedures on this. I was at the next meeting when the airport attorney did come back, and all there was a recommendation from Public Works at the City of Wisconsin Rapids to say that they would no longer service anybody that don't live in the City of Wisconsin Rapids without annexation.
Correct.
And so we already had it in a terminal building. It was already in the town of Grand Rapids when it got there. Why did we have to annex that? Pretty soon we'll be cutting off the land that gives us a straight line over to, especially with another article on here on probably dog place. But anyways, the people that live where Phil lives, they get water from the city, and they didn't have to annex.
That was
I think annexation.
court action.
And just one more point.
Okay.
The last thing, the last month, we approved an annexation from the city. And when the State Department Administration got that, they said, why don't you people get along? Why don't you people get along and think of boundary agreements? And things like that. We don't think this is necessary for cities to be gobbling up towns. So I went to the public hearing and I was the only one there in the crowd to talk about this. And I accused the city of bullying. that we could have had boundary agreements. And at that meeting, and you can listen to it on the television or radio or on the internet, and the mayor of the city of Wisconsin Rapids said, Mr. Clendenning, I went to your town board chairman and talked about border agreements, and he said he was not interested.
You have a date when that happened?
Well, you can get it right on, you can look it up. That's what
Well, he may have said that.
he said that.
I don't, but what date did I say that I didn't want it?
He made the comment.
That's hearsay. You wouldn't get it into a court of law. Because I don't recall ever saying that to him. I did sit with the city of Wisconsin Rapids 15, 20 years ago. We started to talk about annexations, not annexation, but a boundary agreement. Got to a point where they needed to put the line. They wanted over half the town. 48th Street is where they thought it should be a good ending. Obviously, the chairman, Mr. Buss at that time, said we are no longer interested in talking to you. Now, you're absolutely correct in everything that you stated so far, Bill, with the exception of the conversation of what pieces the airport commission decided at the hangar, because we were told in that same letter that they were going to discontinue services to us if we didn't annex. That's what the letter that you're referring to said. So that's why the two parcels, one is the $2.2 million hangar it's going to be built on, which is a great piece, and then the parcel that the terminal sits on. All your conversations are understood and read, but you need to read Mr. Flanagan's comments to us, because this is a direct annexation. We have very little that we can do. There is no people living on it, no thing is. We can, and his final thoughts were that we could possibly request some things be, and then we can, let me see if I can find it. The affected town can request the DOA to review the annexation. Such a review is very limited to whether the territory is contiguous to the annexing municipality, and if annexations of that territory is in a county different from the annexation municipality, which it is not. So basically, we can request of the DOA to do a study. It's very limited. The thing about it is the city doesn't even have to agree to it. They could say, fine, but they're still going to annex, and so likely the final vote will be at whenever the next commission's city's meeting is. So the really only action we could take is to ask our attorney to finish filling out that form with the proper things and ask for the DOA to review it. I think that should be our stance.
Suggest people in their town of Grand Rapids talk to the altar persons. I know two people that are probably not going to vote for this annexation, and there's others out there. I think residents, town board supervisors, I think we should be talking to those people, and it's time we get along.
I don't disagree with you. Patty, did you have your hand up?
Yes.
Please. So I did speak to Attorney Flanagan because I wanted a little bit more clarification as to how I interpreted his letter. And I believe, and also speaking with him, that we should change our motion to reflect that we want to proceed and submit the question with the questionnaire with the assistance of the attorney, and to outline the concerns being against the public interest. As stated in his review, he also mentioned that because of the fact that the county has a population exceeding 50,000 residents, the DOA under Wisconsin stat is required to issue a public interest opinion. So I think this may also help with the situation. It may not reverse the annexation, but I think it's needed to reflect that the town of Grand Rapids is looking for boundary agreements, and this is going to help us down the road, and I think this is what we need to do.
Is that an amendment to the motion?
I would like it to be.
Okay. Does positive and a negative in the motion, because the motion is positive, and this is not a negative, because you're not saying no, you're just saying we'd like to do the review.
Right.
We like to ask for the deed.
Yeah,
Okay.
Do we vote on this motion?
We'd vote on the amendment first, we would, if it's,
Let's vote on that, and then we vote on
then you vote on the motion as amended. Sure, there isn't a second yet to Patty's motion.
Right. I'll second.
thank
Andrew,
you.
any discussion on the second, on the amendment to the motion, asking for our attorney to do the DOA review form? Hearing none, we'll take a vote on the amendment to the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion is amended. Motion would be, you're getting it down there?
Yeah, I think so.
You want to give us what you think it
I
should
have
be?
it recorded. Well, I've got that she amended it to suggest Attorney Flanagan help in completing the form for the DOA to do a review.
Okay.
They
All,
want anything added to
That's-
outline the concerns being against public interest.
yep, understand. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No opposed.
Thank you
All
for
right,
that.
nothing else, we said our piece, as they say, right? Yeah. Okay. Item 11, the considerable possible action on the airport commission allowing a dog park on property is a little bit premature. The airport commission did not meet, or did not have it on its last month's agenda, so I'm not going to speak in favor of or against, and I don't wish anybody else to. So I just would like this item to be tabled till we have an action, or if you wish, can be
I
a
would
motion.
like some discussion on, because I was on the airport commission when they requested this once before, the same property.
No, it wasn't it that big back piece?
No, it wasn't. It was between the two.
I remember the back piece being talked about. Anyway, go ahead. Let's see if there's a motion first then, I guess. No motion, no discussion. Then it's tabled. Consider possible action on supporting the Boys and Girls Club and the Family Center's Touch a Truck event, which is August 24th. It's at the Grand Rapids Lions property, for the record, by displaying some of our police and fire equipment. Right now, there's 20 vehicles that the group is bringing in, all different types, from a farm tractor to to fire trucks, to dump trucks, to, no, not yet anyway. Well, you thinking about driving one on our little track we have out there? And various types. What it is an event to get the kids out before they go back to school, get them away, walk around the vehicles, touch a grader or whatever you want to do in a 4-hour period of time. And it's a fundraiser for the two groups, because what they do is they have sponsors that are paying for it. There's a master sponsor who happens to be Plainfield Trucking, and H.O. Holding is one of the big sponsors, and they collect some revenue from them, which when it gets all said and done, they split the proceeds between the two of them, and they have some more funding for their events. That is what it is. So that's really what it is. We did talk on the fireside, Bob, and we talked about it and had approval. I know we have our Captain Mike Ski is going to be leading up a group to have one of our trucks there. And we know that United Ambulance is going to be there, and we're expecting Lifelink 3, is it? Lifelink, to bring their helicopter down, and the department would rope off and set an area up for them to come and take a look at it.
You made your motion to approve.
Motion to approve to have. Motion Bill, second Andrew.
So what I understand this motion to be is just to allow our fire trucks to be over there?
Fire trucks, maybe one of our graders if we got time.
Okay.
You know, if we can get it away so the kids can get a look at what a real toy is, other than their miniatures that they play with.
Okay,
How big the tires are, you know.
all right.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Thank you. Item 13 we're on, huh? Consider possible action on personnel committee's recommendations for revisions to the town's personnel handbook related to overtime and holiday pay. Did you guys complete that today?
No, we didn't.
You didn't.
So at this point, we'd like to table it.
Okay, motion table.
I'll make a motion.
Dan, second. Arnie, all in favor of, you're too late. All in favor of postponing or tabling, say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? Item 14 is disbursement vouchers. Any questions? Was there a lot of overtime pay?
Someone is. I don't know if this is an appropriate time to talk about this, but, for when the storm cleanup comes, will that, out of what category does that come out of? Public
Wherever,
Works?
whatever, it's probably gonna come out of any budget that's left over, we're gonna have to
Okay.
transfer some money.
That's what I was
And,
just curious.
and just for your knowledge, you had to, and with our help with Rick and that, had to put a pretty good complete report back to the county.
For
Um,
cleanup?
They're looking at
For FEMA coming in?
trying to FEMA to come in for, so,
That covered that then?
it may, it's May.
We got a lot of competition with Adams County and a couple of towns there.
So I know the county's going through the review. We had to get the information to them yesterday. We had the plot where every tree was that was in the road that we had to take down, and it was how much time you spent there, what type of vehicle was there to go through. It's pretty intensive for what you really get out of this. Sometimes makes you wonder whether it's worth anything or not, but I guess if we get some back pay, it's good.
Thank you.
Okay. Operator license applications, we have some approvals and a couple denials, right?
Yes.
What's their wishes?
I'll make a motion to approve the Amy Estrada, Marie Spillner, Holly Pink, and then I make a motion to approve Stephanie, or make a motion to deny Stephanie Hallworth and Cassidy McCollum.
I'll second that.
Motion made, second. Any discussion?
So I don't know if I'm asking the chief this or the board this, but, so the two that are denied, will they have a chance to come before the board?
The way that our ordinance is worded, yes, they would be able to petition the board for
Review.
review.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? Move to monthly reports, Public Works. Rick has a short report. Track filling has been completed. 2 dump trucks had to go up to the dealership for repair work that was outside our classifications. One needed a complete brake job and the second one needed a new starter and transmission lines. Storm cleanup was pretty much 3 weeks worth. And road construction we have started. They've milled half of South Park Road and the other half we milled tomorrow morning. Then it's to be shaped and surfaced shortly. We also have the gravel on Culf Road. And tomorrow we will be graveling Wet Rock Avenue along with the city. City's going to supply some of the material because the city has a little piece, 2 little pieces that are within our town road. They'll be trading us material versus whatever. And the final run is at Balsam Circle. That's a city, a county that was done on a bid, and I'm not sure if they started that yet. I didn't get out that way. It's about what I can tell you from Public Works.
And no more brushes accepted
Right.
as of today.
Yeah. I really want to thank the public. I talked with Rick quite a bit about this. The public was really good at helping and staying out of their way when they're trying to get the stuff off the road so we could at least get the roads open. That was part of the hardest thing, and then we went back in and we pushed them so far to the back so that it's actually out of the right-of-way areas. Most of the trees, there's a lot of trees down yet, but Not sure just exactly what that process will be. But we followed the same process that we used for many, many years. Tree falls down, hits our road, it's our responsibility. So we push it back, and we set it back on the property line, because a lot of the time the property owner wants that tree for firewood. So that's been the policy that we've used for many, many years, to just leave them there and let them take care of it. If we eventually have to take care of them, then we will, but
So at least they're out of the road right away and the roads are clear and we're good to go.
all right, I'm gonna go down the road this time, and I'll let Patty go next.
Just wanted to comment on that about, I'll bring it up under my report.
Go ahead, Patty, Plan Commission.
Okay, we met last night.
We approved the Philip Casper Certified Survey Map, which we had discussed this evening. And also, we did the recommendation for the Fritchies lot to be with that newly created CSM, which we spoke about this evening. We also have discussed the cell tower on Highway 64, on 64th Street. They're replacing antennas, and so that's a co-location for mobile services. And then we also discussed the ordinance 8.11 to allow ducks in a residential area. And we did do a recommendation to the legislative committee to discuss it further. Just to let you folks know that we do have a lot of discipline in having chickens on property, that if the chickens interfere with the atmosphere that the neighbors are accustomed to, there are guidelines that are followed in our ordinance that will restrict people from having chickens. You know, just because you get the permit doesn't allow you to have the chickens. And so that's one of the reasons why we did recommend to the legislative committee to discuss allowing the ducks, only because of the fact that there are restrictions that if it is detrimental to the the noise, the smell, anything of their area, the chickens can be removed. So we're going to be discussing that at legislative committee. That will be coming up.
Anything else?
And then, the exciting part, we always leave to last, is we're working on our comprehensive plan. And the survey, we got a first draft from Wood County, and it brought up a lot of good discussion, and so we're going to have it again at our next plan commission to discuss it, and then we will be bringing it to the town to review. But this is a survey that's going to be mailed to every resident, and we're hoping that we get a really good outcome and feedback from the questionnaires, because that's going to actually reflect what the future of the town of Grand Rapids is going to become. So we're very excited about the survey going out, and I think we've got some really good questions going.
And I think the board will probably give you one or two more that we'd like to get into.
Absolutely.
Good. Any other questions or public safety?
We did not meet.
WTA meeting? Yeah. Where were we, Bill? Oh, we're at,
Yeah, with Enbridge.
yeah.
At Aldo, that was Howard Hanson.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Enbridge, it's North America's largest transportation of oil and stuff like that in their pipelines. And it delivers 2.8 million barrels per day of crude oil. And also Central Wisconsin has a pipeline pump station in Marshfield and in Vesper. And I don't know if you got it, but I visited the pumping station in Vesper, and
Yeah.
you ought to see that place. And everything that goes along with it, and how it's built in case they ever have a spill. And then in Kentucky, they had a big hole the next day after that in their same one. But the next meeting is this coming Friday, and it's in the town of Hiles.
I did send our chief, Bob Pyatt, up to that meeting for his information. So I chose him to go as my representation.
It was good knowledge to have, and there has been fires there before, so now I know where it is and how it works.
Okay, moving on to Airport Commission. We let the bid out for the new hangar that's going to be built. I was very pleased that we were able to announce that Altman Construction, a local contractor, got that bid. So they'll be building this hangar. Approximate cost to build this hangar will be $2.2 million. That's part of that. That's $2.2 million is just about what we have left from the state grant that we got 2 years ago from the Department of Transportation grant. The greatest other share of that was to build the parking ramps bigger into the airport, and we now can set as many as 27 jets at one time down there if we'd ever need that. Today there's 6 large vehicles, planes out there at one time, and there's 2 more that came in and left, just dropped people off. So that funding was no funding from any town, municipality, village, or city. It's all just state aid. Now, thank you very much for driving your car and getting gas tax, because that's where those funds came from. It's good to see where local money goes once in a while for something. The taxiway project, which is a parallel to the main runway, which will allow the planes when they land just to go to the end and scoot off and come on a taxiway like the big airports have. We were granted that. Part of this funding came from there. That is just about done. Should be done by the end of August, except for the lighting. The lighting is all in place, but now we need to wait currently 2 months until Water and Light can come over there and change the power from our terminal building over to the electrical vault that's going to hold all those transformers. So we'll probably open it up, but it'll have a NOTAM, which is a messaging things that pilots, when they are flying into a particular airport, it says this and this and this, no lights, whatever. So they'll know about it. And most of our flights in and out of there that would you want to use this would be daytime flights anyway. So we should be able to wait. Fuel sales continues to go up. Last month at this time we were at just about 9,000 gallons, and we were at 14,000 gallons this previous month. Basically that jet fuel sales is what the airport makes revenue on. We charge, the price is $4.80 a gallon. We buy it for $2.60, so we're making $2.20 a gallon. Proceeds on that jet fuel, which turns into be revenue for us. If a plane, large plane, I refer to, does come in and doesn't want to buy fuel for one reason or another, they're assessed what's called a ramp fee. So they're charged a fee that's in lieu of gas, depending on size of the plane. It can be anywhere from $50 to $300 to $500. It's a big one, instead of buying fuel. Typically what we have is whatever the fee is, it's the same amount of gallons would be required to waive the fee. And the pilots that we talk to, the owners, they say this is common at every airport they go to with, so that we're not holding something over everybody's shoulders. We collected for the 6 months, first 6 months, just about $6,000 in ramp fees, $600 in lavatory fees. We have a small lav cart, is basically a dump station that we can hook up to the planes and just like an RV setup and drain their sewage for them, and we charge them $75 to do that.
How much was the
70.
revenue on that part?
The lavatory revenue?
Yeah,
$600 so far.
okay.
GPU is a ground power unit. We have a ground power unit that we paid, last year we purchased with some of the state funds. That was our excess funds. And that was $34,000. We get $75 an hour to hook it up to a plane. And quite often they're using that. So far this season was only $450. The airport is not open 24/7, so if a plane calls us and wants to come in and wants to have assistance, we have personnel that will go to them, but we charge them a $75 call-out fee if they want services. And that's generated $1,125. And our old hangar, we still get occasionally some use of people wishing to put in there. It's only a 14-foot high door, so the planes can't be too tall. And so far, we netted $250 for that. So last month, piston planes, there was 131. We had 46 jets came in, 19 turboprop, which is twin prop, but they're jet fueled, and 5 helicopters were in. So it's busy. Any questions? Okay, we'll move to public buildings. Dan, anything?
No, nothing at this time.
Andy, economic development?
Nothing right now. We are going to be scheduling a meeting here soon.
Okay. Secondly, solid waste?
Yes, we had a meeting today, and we discussed the upcoming Choose to Reuse that we're going to have on September 21st, which is the third Saturday in September. And our hours on that are going to be from 8 a.m. until noon, just to let people know. We are changing the hours. And the procedure on that, we're, I guess, going to get something from the Personnel Committee, procedures to be used on that. So we're waiting for that, and hope we can get those into effect and what we're expected to do.
You will.
Okay, and one of the things I was going to mention under Arling's report was we had with us at the meeting was Tom Dorhorse, who does the chipping out here. And he commented when he saw the picture of the brush pile and things like that. He says of all the ones he does, and he does a lot of them, he said this is the cleanest wood he's ever gotten. The worst is up in northern Wood County, and last week they ground up a swing set. They ground up a doghouse with shingles on it, and when you do that, the shingles kind of throw out the whole load, you know, and so that's dangerous. And he enlightened us as to people bring to, no, I'm not going to say that in the
Right.
public. No, I'm not going to say
Yeah,
that.
don't.
No. Okay, so that's one of the things that I wanted to bring up. And so remember, we'll be calling for volunteers at a later time. Our volunteer strategy is probably going to change, especially with the new rules and regulations that we hope will take care of some of that stuff. Any questions? Glad to answer.
Did we ever get a final report yet?
Oh, yes, you did.
Yeah, last,
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
August 13th minute, yes.
Good, okay.
Plus
Well,
it's in the-
I just didn't remember it.
Plus, it's also in the minutes of the recycling,
Yeah.
being that
that'll
we
be
just
in that.
approved them
Yeah.
today.
I thought you didn't give us a written report because you were waiting the outcome of something else.
No,
I-
no,
I-
we
I
did.
could- I could be wrong.
No, I thought.
I've been wrong before.
Fire department, from the fireman's picnic, we didn't get that final report.
No.
Wait,
They're
is
still
that what
waiting
you were
for some
thinking about?
numbers.
Oh, okay.
That's got to do with Choose to Reuse.
Yeah, we had one
We sound
outstanding,
confused today?
we had one outstanding bill that we were having a problem with, trying to get a final balance on. We
Okay.
paid that bill this last week, so.
All right, the legislative committee did not meet, but our attorney gave us 2 dates that he was available. And where'd I put that email? It's probably down here. I think it was,
Are you next week
well, I didn't,
after?
yeah, I printed that email out from him, but there's too many papers here.
Next week, meeting.
Hey, I think the 20th and the 21st seems to ring a bell.
Wednesday and Thursday, next week. Wednesday and Thursday of next week. And then we had some dates the following week too.
Those work for Andrew and Dan?
Either one of them.
Which one?
21st or 22nd.
I can do the
next week.
21st.
21st is better than the 22nd.
All right, let's set that for the 21st then.
August 21st is
Nick's got a few
legislative.
things on his agenda, and you guys will have some things. We
Yeah.
could probably look at that
Yeah.
procedure.
Yep, we're gonna have that procedure put
Put it
together.
at 6 o'clock and we'll leave at 10.
Glad I'm at my conference.
Nothing else for Legislative Personnel Committee, did you meet? You did briefly, but didn't finish,
We
right?
did meet, but, we're gonna continue on that, to be continued.
Okay. Reports from individual town board members, starting, we'll start with Bill tonight.
I just, last night, a resident mentioned to me about the accidents on 48th and Griffith or County Trunk Z. And so I went over and saw Lance Primmel, who, that's his district, that he represents, District 16 on the county board. And today, he went to the county board, to the highway commissioner, and they're going to put passing lanes, not passing lanes, no passing zone on County Trunk Z. Just so people, they'll slow down, they'll see that, wonder why, and I hope that that'll help with the accident. So,
I think the county highway commissioner asked myself if we would supply them with a letter of support for them to do a safety study for our two main accidents areas. One by here and the other end is Mel, and I wrote in the letter to them that those are the two highest areas that we have safety. I did see the county highway commissioner out here with an individual studying our corner, and from what I understand, they're gonna do a safety study. So,
Okay, so the next item that I had also was that letter. I was disappointed to see a letter from our police chief and our town board, our town chairman. Why wasn't that a letter from the board that we would like those studies done? I just, it bothered me to see that. I'd like to do things as a town.
it's just to support for a safety study. It's not a support for a roundabout, anything else. It's a support to do the safety study. All he needed was a request from the town to do it. Simply stated, if the chairman can't write a letter of support or something, what can the chairman do? You done, Bill? Anything else? Okay, Dan?
I guess I just wanted to make note of that whole storm on that Saturday. And I want to commend our police department and our fire department. Specifically, I'm going to point out our chief, Bob Pyatt, who, has been a year in, who, if anybody has any doubts of his ability to lead that department and saw the department but himself in action on that day, was definitely commendable. And nice job by everybody, put in a lot of hours. I was out of town, and
Conveniently.
wasn't conveniently sitting on a pontoon boat up north with electricity, by the way. But great job, and Mel, to your staff too. I mean, definitely a lot of work, a lot of doing, and I'm gonna even Arnie too. I mean, was down here with
Yeah, Ernie was here for 12 hours.
yeah. So I commend all of you guys. You did a great job.
Thank you. Patty?
Yeah, I was just gonna comment on the storm too. It was a terrible storm. A lot of people had a lot of damage, and with the bad situation, it was nice to be able to see neighbors helping neighbors. And, the fire trucks out and the police cars out, Public Works, everybody was working together, and the bad situation really pulled our community together, and I'm very proud of our residents to do so.
We did see a lot of that too.
Mhm.
Neighbors helping neighbors.
Yep.
That was good.
Yeah.
Amy, anything down your end?
I got a lot of phone calls saying that neighbors were helping neighbors.
Yeah,
That was good.
that's great, yeah.
And-
Well, that's the worst part about going last, so kind of have the same thing.
Ditto.
Thank you guys both for your departments, and thank your staff as well from the board, because that's important, and everybody came together. It was neat to see our community do that, and people helping people, so it's really good. That's all I had.
Lisa, anything?
I do not know.
All right, so,
Yeah, I have one more thing. When it comes to,
Captain, may I?
yes, Captain, may I? When it comes to hours that the Public Works are utilizing for this cleanup, if it isn't used for FEMA, it may be able to be utilized for our RUs for recycling. And that, remember from our last storm, keeping track of our hours and that of Public Works,
Oh.
pushing up the pile, because we may be able to utilize that too.
Well, I have all those hours tracked, lots of spreadsheets ready for you if you want.
Excellent.
So it's all recorded.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And the last thing I can say just would be an echo. I did talk to many people. I did talk to one guy today who was bringing over, and we were starting to get set up with it ever. He said this was his 91st load from his small trailer that he took. He was over somewhere on 32nd Street, I believe is where it all came from. And if you want to see a mess, go drive down 32nd Street from 2 Mile to W. Yeah. Yeah. That was probably the worst of it. And again, it's people helping people. I estimated the cubic foot size of that pile was 120,000 cubic feet, which is 12 foot high, and just a mess and well packed. So we thank everybody for your support. I have nothing else. Then we'll go back to the public. Anybody else have any closing comments you wish to make?
I would.
Go ahead.
I would just like to add, I understand that neighbors with the ducks thing, they quack, We do live by a lake, there's ducks. My whole objective is, my kids believe the only way to get food is to go to Walmart. So my objective is to try and teach my kids how to plant tomatoes, have some type of a poultry that we use for eggs and stuff like that. And so, I want to be respectful, but on the other hand, I also see as teaching my children how to take care of themselves without the convenience of a store is important to me too. So
Very good.
that's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody else? Hearing none. 19, establish next agenda. I don't think we've got a couple of carryovers we'll add to that. 20, motion to adjourn by
Patty?
Patty, second. Andrew, any discussion? Never on that, is there? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye and aye, are adjourned. Thank you very much, folks. Appreciate you coming.